Dr. Anna Machin, what is the mission you've so far committed your life to? And I guess adding to that, why?
I've committed the last 2 decades of my life to understanding human love and understanding human close relationships. Because as an anthropologist, I understand that love sits at the centre of what it is to be human. If you strip everything else away and you've got your food, you've got your water, the next thing you need are your relationships, is your love. And we are so lucky as a species to experience love in quite a complex way with many different types of people and beings. And we know that it's like the number one thing in terms of your health, mental, physical, your longevity, your happiness, your well-being. And I think we need to understand it, particularly in a world where we're starting to get a lot of input in terms of technology and AI, and the world is getting quicker. We need to go back to who we are really at our core and what love really is. And I suppose that's what I've given my life over to, is to really explain to people, who are you? Because your love is your identity, essentially.
And you use the word anthropologist there. What is an anthropologist?
Okay, so an anthropologist is somebody who studies the human species. I'm an evolutionary anthropologist, which means I sit at the scientific end of it. You can sit at sort of the cultural end or the scientific end. And I study how evolution has shaped us and also why things evolved. So, for example, why did love evolve? Why did fatherhood evolve? And I use lots and lots of different techniques, scanning and genetics and all these different things to be able to answer that question.
I've got another book sat in front of me here, which is, I guess, somewhat linked to love, which is about fathers.
Yeah.
So how did these two things come together? We've got a book here about love and we've got a book about fatherhood, and you're very well known for talking on the subject of fatherhood. What is the link? How did the link come to be? And why? Why are you talking about fatherhood?
We have the wrong idea about fathers. The way our culture deals with fathers, treats fathers, is wrong. The myths we carry about fathers are wrong. The influence they have on their children and ultimately on our society is fundamental. So the link came because I had a child. And like most couples who have a baby, we talked about it. We were like, we're going to start trying to have a baby. Then we became pregnant, which was great. Did the pregnancy test together, went to the antenatal classes, went to the scans, all wonderful. Went in to have the baby, and it didn't turn out how it was supposed to. I was very, very ill. I lost a lot of blood. My daughter was poorly when she was born. And afterwards, I was offered loads of counselling. Would you like a debrief? Would you like? And I was like, well, to be absolutely honest, I'm okay, because I passed out. I literally don't remember anything. But my husband witnessed it all. And he basically saw a car crash in slow motion with two people in it who he loved very deeply. And I completely understand why. It was a very stressful information, but nobody explained to him what was happening. And so they mopped me up, took my baby, took her to neonatal care, and left him in the room on his own. And I was breathing very shallowly, and he was scared. And the cleaner came in and said, and was cleaning away, and he just said to the cleaner, do you think she's dead? Because I was breathing so shallowly. And the cleaner went, no, I don't think so, mate. I think they would have told you if she was dead. But after that, he couldn't talk about the birth. He couldn't imagine the birth. He couldn't deal with the emotions from the birth for a good 2 years afterwards. And he was really worried about having another kid. And this made me really angry, actually, because I was like, hold on, we went into this together and he's literally been discarded, like he doesn't matter. And to me, he's fundamentally important. And then as our daughter grew, I saw the amazing bond he built with her, how integral he was to her life. And so when I went back to university at Oxford to study and to do my work, I thought, well, I'm an anthropologist. Okay, let's look up what do we know about fathers in our society. And there was literally nothing. There was a lot of work on absent fathers, and their impact is fundamental. We know that. And there was a lot of quite stereotypical work on young fathers, teenage fathers. Nothing on the majority of dads who, whether they co-reside or not, stick around. So I started with some really simple questions. What happens to a man when he becomes a father? Does he alter biologically, psychologically? How does he build his bond with his child? What's the nature of that bond? Does he have a role in child development separate to that to mum? Because when I started 20 years ago, the mantra was dads didn't undergo any changes. Dads did not have a bond like mum to their children. It was not as intense, and it certainly wasn't an attachment relationship, which we all know are really intense, important relationships. And as an evolutionary anthropologist, I was like, that can't be right, because human fatherhood is rare. We are one of only 5% of mammals that have investing fathers, and we're the only ape. Now, for something that rare to evolve, it has to have had a purpose, because it led to amazing anatomical, social upheavals. So that's what I began to do 20 years ago. I started asking those questions. I recruited my first group of 15 first-time fathers when their partners were 3 months pregnant, and off we went.